And I mean, that segues us pretty nicely into the predictions part of the show. This is definitely an interesting one because a lot of these matches, I don't know, man. I don't know, but let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start with the match that was announced the most hastily, the most out of nowhere match that we have on the card, which is LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Because really, Shinsuke has been off of all WWE programming for
besides
months,
just little
months and months and
house
months.
shows in Japan, I heard, or whatever.
Yeah, but like for the audience who gets to just watch the shows, Raw and SmackDown every week, the NXT and everything, he's just been completely ghost. And then out of nowhere, he comes back and interferes in the LA Knights match recently. And now because of that interference and a promo that he cut, that's just it. And now we're getting a United States Championship match. I don't love the build up to it. And the reasoning behind that is I feel like they've booked themselves into a lose-lose situation. They didn't build up Shinsuke enough to where LA Knight defeating him is like a legitimate stripe on his resume going forward. I don't think it will be remembered very much. But if you have LA Knight lose and do a shock championship switch over for Shinsuke, I think it makes LA Knight look pretty shitty for the same reason because there's not a lot of build. And then with Shinsuke, it's like, well, where do we go from here? Because there wasn't even much of a storyline going
I feel
into
like it's
it.
gonna be like still LA Knight win, honestly. At this point.
I agree. I do think LA Knight is gonna win, and I just think. Can I tell you the problem with that though? My issue with that is I feel like that just buries Shinsuke and this new character that he's bringing out. This kind of like ghost.
A lot of fans they like that shit that he's doing right now. And
No, it is. I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. But that's why I say I wouldn't have put him in a championship match right now.
That's the thing I was gonna say about Shinsuke is like I like the little language barrier that he's able to break that by doing the little like cutscene things he's doing. And shit
it's
like that.
very interesting. It's very cool, and he puts himself all into these characters. Like he really sells that whole like creepy, like I said, ghost like kind of character that he's doing right now. The issue I have with it is because it's all been presented to us so recently.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, it's either going to feel too sudden for him to get the win, which I don't think is going to happen. What's more likely is this new character just got presented to us and it's instantly going to look weaker because he's going to get...
It might be a close, some bullshit's probably going to happen.
I would hope that somehow they try and protect him with, some type of interference or something.
He's not like a fucking straight baby face. He's
but
like
even then, it's like
anti-hero
already a chalked match at that point. Like, why are we even putting this on Survivor Series if it's just going to be some weak match with an interference? Like, at that point, just make it the main event of a SmackDown. Like, I don't even understand why you're giving it a PLE spot. And again, to just randomly announce it in the middle of the episode of Raw beforehand, where it just gets, like, random. Oh, and by the way, we also just announced, like, blah, blah, blah. That was literally how they brought it up on the show. I just feel like it undermines LA Knight as the champion. It undermines Shinsuke's new character. It's a problem I've had with LA Knight's championship run overall is that he has not gotten enough substantial storylines. Like, he did so much more for Logan Paul's title reign, being the babyface chasing him for a long time, versus him now as the babyface champion. He has had no strong heels that have been able to give him a significant challenge for a long period of time, which is weird because SmackDown's roster is fucking stacked. Like, how they've managed to bottle the whole like Andrade and Carmelo Hayes shit is insane to me because those matches that they were doing against each other were insane, and then when it's come to getting LA Knight involved in that and making it a 3-man feud, I feel like it's completely missed the mark. Like, I don't know what's going wrong with LA Knight and this championship run, but they need to give it a serious boost with a real feud with someone who can actually feel like a legitimate threat and give them something to work with in a promo sense, because this is not it. This is not it. And as we can see, like, I'm a fan for real of this dude. Like,
you don't want this feud to just be like just a quick one and done or what?
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to see it just completely go to nothing and
But
then.
do you think it's gonna be a one and done? I feel like I said it's probably gonna build up more to.
I mean, no, I could see it continuing, and maybe they have a rematch at Saturday Night Main Event, which is coming up pretty soon after Survivor Series. Like, I could see stuff like that happening. Unfortunately, due to the language barrier, I don't know if it's the best. Because the thing is LA Knight shines the most with those back and forth interactions on the mic. And you're just not going to get that with Shinsuke. It isn't going to happen. It's only going to be pre-scripted, pre-recorded segments. Which for Shinsuke, he's able to shine, like you said. That segment's awesome. But it doesn't give LA Knight the opportunity to respond, which sells him short. Like, he needs a true heel that has some sort of competence on the mic that he can get some sort of a feud going with. Like, I'd like to see him have a feud with a Grayson Waller for the championship that actually lasts a bit. Someone who has a bit of mic skills, who's a real heel, who will be able to go back and forth with them for, like, there's guys that, and that's why I'm saying, like, the SmackDown roster, Carmelo Hayes, if they would have actually done a better job with that feud, I think could have done something really special, but it just didn't really come to fruition properly. There are so many names on the roster that you could get an interesting, really interesting storyline with LA Knight going, and they've just been selling him short since he's got the belt, and it sucks. Like, I as such a fan of his, I want to see him get his chance to really show his stuff while he's carrying the belt, and it's not happening so far, and I'm worried that eventually we're going to get to the point where he drops the title and all of a sudden he's just kind of back to being a fun promo here and there in the occasional SmackDown main event.
That's wild. Slim Jim.
Yeah, basically the Slim Jim sponsored matches and shit. I would hate to see him end up in that role where there's kind of a low ceiling on it, because I do think his potential is real. I think he should get a run with, like, the World Heavyweight Championship or Universal Championship. I just do. Not a super extended long one, but, like, I think it'd be really exciting to see him go through that just for a couple months even. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
One like CB.
You know, I was thinking more like when Hardy had it for a bit, and, like, it wasn't the longest title reign, but it was still appreciated. Jeff. Because, you know, he had his title reign, and it was very celebrated. Still talked about to this day. With this one.
But we're talking about the United States Championship.
I'm saying if he's able to move on, he should get a run with this one.
Like that, because CB made the... Yeah, look it up. He had a run with it.
I'm not talking about that, though. Like, I feel like they've already kind of botched his run with the United States Championship early. Like, yes, they could recover it, but I'm saying to give him just a good send-off with it so he can move on to the next level.
You think so he should fucking...
He doesn't need to sit around with the United States Championship forever, bro.
He needs to win this one?
Yeah. That's what I just fucking said. If you were listening to my fucking ass, stupid shit. God.
No,
I just said he needs to win the World Heavyweight Championship or the Universal Championship. He doesn't have to hold it for a long ass time, but he needs to fucking win it. Like Jeff fucking Hardy. Fuck you. Listen to what I'm saying.
No.
Damn, this fool wants to talk about CB so goddamn bad. I know you love Chris Brown. He's better than Michael Jackson, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
I'm talking about fucking Chris Benoit, bitch.
God damn it.
I'm talking about the United States Championship, not the fucking WWE or World Heavyweight Championship, you stupid bitch.
And I said they need to improve that too.
You think he should be Cody Rhodes for that shit?
Yeah, him and Roman and Cody in a triple threat, and Hulk Hogan, and he pins all three at once. Fucking dumbass. So annoying, fuck. So you think LA Knight's gonna win, huh?
Yeah, bro. That's what you're saying.
You're fucking stupid.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
That fool needs to win that world championship, bro.
So I could put us both down for an LA Knight victory against Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was interesting, right?
I just want better for my dog. That's it. Braun Breaker in this triple threat match versus Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser.
Interesting.
How we feeling?
Interesting.
Another one of those ones that's kind of hastily thrown together at the last minute. I don't love the booking.
Hello, can I be Ludwig?
I would not be happy with that, personally.
But it low-key might be.
I could see it.
Clicking like Gaga on Gunther's thingy my job.
So what?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that if Braun were to have another time where he kind of wins the title and drops it relatively quickly, we could start to actually stifle the momentum just a tad. Just a tad. Especially because if he drops it here, it's in a match that was just thrown together at the last minute. There's nothing memorable about this feud. The only thing that could make this not a big L for Braun Breaker is if Sheamus were to win.
That should be interesting.
Because Sheamus winning the Intercontinental Championship would make him a Grand Slam champion, which, that being such a huge accomplishment for a Hall of Fame legend, I could like, as a Braun Breaker mark, I could allow him losing his Intercontinental Championship to give Sheamus his Grand Slam champion status. It would still, to an extent, though, be frustrating because, like, why the fuck does this fool need to drop the title every 6 weeks?
He's garbage.
But he's not. What the fuck is this? What do you mean? Braun Breaker's garbage? I was about to... Bro, like, don't fucking piss me off. I'll spear you right now. Boom. Boom. Exactly, fool. Bitch. So, overall, thoughts on the match? Because as I've kind of said, I'm not the biggest fan of how this thing was thrown together.
I mean, honestly, it made it look like Ludwig. They made Ludwig look really good, honestly.
They have been starting to build him up a bit more as they've started to make Gunther look a bit worse.
And then
makes me think a feud could be coming.
Sheamus came and then, yeah, everything kind of went to shit. It was kind of just a casual brawl, I guess you could say.
Do you think that this could be a main event of a Raw? Is that harsh to say on my behalf?
No, I agree with that. But I understand why they put it in Survivor Series. They had to put something in there.
And that's kind of my problem with this match and the one we just talked about, LA Knight.
That's why it's probably going to be like one of those 10, 15-minute matches or some shit, bro.
I don't expect it to last too long, but that's the issue I'm having right now with both the Intercontinental and United States Championship matches that they've booked for Survivor Series is they're just there to fill space. Like, I feel like with how good so much of Triple H's run as the head of creative at WWE has been, there are times where we have these really good feuds going and we miss the mark on getting a match onto a PLE, and then we're forced to just shoehorn in some other random shit. Like, the New Day's got some great shit going right now. The Wyatt Six has still not appeared on a fucking PLE, and it's been like multiple chances by now. How the Wyatt Six can't get a match against what's the fucking, why am I blanking right now? Karrion Kross and all them. Like, how we can't figure something out there. Like, there's so many interesting storylines going on right now within the mid card, which these are all mid card matches. These are the mid card championships that would deserve a good PLE spot. The LWO's been starting a feud with American Made over the last few weeks. There's some interesting stuff you could do there. There's like a whole big faction versus faction mixed tornado tag match that could happen because it all lines up with the amount of male and female members of the groups. Like, there's interesting shit to be done with these feuds, but then instead it's like, fuck it, let's just throw some bullshit together for Braun Breaker and LA Knight to defend their shit. Probably beat everyone involved, and we have both our champions retained, and they're forgettable as fuck matches, and we just move on. Why don't we actually give a chance to the mid-card wrestlers who are giving us really interesting feuds to pay those off at PLEs? Just because they don't have one of these. Because everyone can't have one of these. There's only so many. And so if you're not giving your best storylines to your mid-card champions, which that's another problem in and of itself, that Braun Breaker and LA Knight aren't getting strong storylines as champions, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
The better mid-card storylines are elsewhere at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we give those storylines a chance to pay off at a PLE?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like we're throwing together random shit just because one of these happens to be involved. And that's not going to be as entertaining as a really cool Wyatt 6 match could have been. I don't know. I just had to throw that in there. That because we obviously talk a lot about this shit off camera. You know how big of a fan I am of people like Braun Breaker and LA Knight. These are my guys. Braun Breaker and LA Knight. I'm massive, massive, massive fans of them. So if even I'm advocating for them to not necessarily get the PLE spots at the moment, that tells you two things. One, there's probably better storylines going on right now that deserve the spots more. And two, you really should be booking some better stories and getting some more TV time for your fucking champions. They just don't appear enough on TV. And they don't appear enough talking to people and starting actual feuds. But that's my rant. I just had to get that off my chest.
That's how you feel about the IC and the US championships?
At the moment, yeah. I feel like they're getting sold short.
So you do think how so like exactly like kind of could go into like how short they sold the women's IC championship instead of giving it a whole presentation and just said earlier tonight or some shit like that.
Well, we talked about that with the United States Championship on here too. I am stunned with how much they just kind of swept under the rug the announcements for both of those championships. You just brought out Triple H and did a whole big thing for the titles at Crown Jewel. Like that. Got a whole big presentation. The dudes in the suits were walking around for fucking weeks with their gloves on, showing it off at every opportunity they got. And now the women's mid-card championships, which are actually like a legitimate historic moment in wrestling, because it really does exemplify just how far women's wrestling has come, because there's always been championships for the women's wrestlers at the top end of the card, but this really shows just how strong women's wrestling is, that even in the mid-card level, there's women that deserve recognition in the form of a championship. Like, it really does say a lot about how far we've come from the earlier days of what women's wrestling used to represent in this company. But it got, like you said, just kind of stuffed. Like, I was hoping we'd get, like, a Stephanie McMahon appearance, honestly. I thought that would be a great full circle moment. I think I might have mentioned that on here. Like, for someone who's been through, just like we've seen in documentaries and everything, like, a lot of the unfortunate sides, a lot of the shitty sides of what women's wrestling has been in the past, for her to be able to come out and be a part of a really positive stepping stone going forward in women's wrestling would have been such a beautiful full circle moment for women's wrestling as a whole. And yeah, not to do some pre-taped bullshit for both championships on both shows, unbelievable. And sends the wrong message, but at least they're there now. Hopefully we get some good shit going forward. But back to the predictions. The heavyweight championship match is one of the only matches that's actually gotten a bit of booking going into it, a bit of storyline. And honestly, I'm excited to see how it plays out. I really, really am. The way that Gunther has been playing this whole, like, mentally diminished character, someone who's kind of like beaten up, not sure of himself anymore since the loss to Cody at Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and I think adds a lot of depth to the Gunther character that we've gotten so used to over the last couple of years, just being this totally sure of himself, totally confident, dominating heel that knows that he's better than his competition, or at least thinks that he is. This is definitely adding a new layer to Gunther. You know, we're seeing insecurity for the first time in Gunther. We're seeing doubt for the first time in Gunther. And it's allowing Damian to shine. You know, his promos have been top tier for the last couple weeks, just absolutely tearing this man to shreds. The reason why I'm curious is because that still doesn't give me 100% confidence Damian Priest will win.
It's not with the promo I saw earlier with the Monday Night Raw. It's usually you've seen the person who's usually like dominant in the fucking promo beforehand is the one who usually is the one who loses.
I agree with that. I do think that there's something to that. However, with this, I feel like there's a pretty strong chance. Part of me is leaning towards Priest getting the win because I feel like we could see Gunther really start to peel back the layers, kind of similar to what we saw Drew McIntyre go through. This character transition where he got fed up with his own disappointment and his own failure and kind of just became the worst version of himself and this ferocious guy obsessed with destroying all of his enemies and stuff. I think that Gunther could go through a very similar character transition in a lot of ways if he is to go on and lose this match against Damian Priest. I think this could be like the unraveling of Super Gunther. You know what I mean? Now, I'm still a bit torn on it though, because definitely the way that Priest has been laying into him, it does feel like he could come out with like the ultimate fury and rage and like really put Priest in his place and kind of set up a bit more of a feud going forward. At least kind of maybe one more match between the two of them. I'm torn on this one, but I do want to give an official prediction for it. I'm going to go ahead and say Priest.
That was a long discussion for just that one match.
I'm going to say Priest. Gunther?
He's gonna retain, bro.
Okay. I didn't write down the last one. We both said Braun Breaker, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I got that. We both got that and that. I'm going to go ahead and give it to fucking El Campeon.
I want to give it to El Campeon. You already know.
I wouldn't be surprised if you end up being right. I wouldn't be surprised if you end up being right.
Yeah.
That's one of the matches they've done a actually really good job of. To me, this is just me as a fan. Like, you to each their fucking own, right? But for me as a fan, when I can go into a match feeling like unsure about who's gonna win, at least can convince myself that either side has a good chance. To me, that's like good job storyline wise coming into the match. Whenever I feel like I know who's gonna win, like there's no way that this person is gonna lose, that's when I feel like it's a boring match. You know what I mean? So this is one of the ones that I feel like they've done a good job because I genuinely am a bit unsure. This next one we gotta get into Women's War Games. Interesting.
New member.
Interesting, yeah. So that definitely throws a wrench into things. It's hard to make a prediction when we don't fully know. Well, I guess we know, but how the dynamics are going to play out, though, we don't fully know. Because we saw Bayley and Bianca have a bit of a moment where they seemed like they were cool at the end of Raw. But there's still just so much baggage there with not just Bayley and Bianca, but Bayley and Io. So, yeah, definitely interesting to see how the dynamics of that group mesh. You know what I mean? Naomi's gonna have to do a lot, I think, to get everyone on the same page.
Team, yo.
I'm gonna be honest, the fact that now Bailey is involved, it makes me lean a little bit more toward the heels winning.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I was a bit 50-50 on it before that, but that a lot of that genuinely had to do with the fact that both Jade and Bianca were on one team, because we just see them as being such top level stars that they have done so much to protect. It would be a bit of a stretch to see them losing on a team with a lot of other star power as well in their own right. But now that you remove that element of Jade and you add in Bailey, like we said, has so much tension with other members of the team, I could see that tension being a big part of the reason why they lose. And then also, whatever ends up being the reason behind Jade being out, I think could also play into it too. Whether that being like someone from the heel team being the one who did it, or if they have like extra help from other people, or whatever the case may be. I think that there's just been so much chaos and kind of shit going not according to plan with the babyface team over the last kind of week or so. It feels like it's set up for a heel victory. And they're doing it in a way that will protect the baby faces, though. Like them losing a member, it'll be like more because of them bickering than anything else. Like,
I feel like it's gonna be some of that annoying Triple H's long storytelling shit.
In a way, I kind of hope that's the case. But like that, this is the launching pad, though. That this starts feuds that can kind of go on from this moment, that can carry on into WrestleMania season and stuff. Because there's so many top level names involved in this match that could potentially feud with one another. Like, this could be the match, who knows, that like fully sets off the bomb between Tiffany and Nia. Something like that. Like how they've kind of teased that they're eventually gonna break up that entire friendship. That this could be the match that completely lights that fuse. We still don't know who attacked Jade and how that's all gonna affect the match. There's definitely a lot of different things that could happen here that could set us up for feuds going forward. So I am hopeful that, despite the fact that the storyline hasn't been as strong coming into the match, that coming out of the match, it'll be some interesting stories set up. And like I said, we talked about it last week. I do think that there's a chance that in-ring action-wise, this could be a show stealer. Like, just with the amount of talented wrestlers that are in the match, and the fact that it's not like a bloodline match where they're gonna have to kind of be more calm and paced with everything, and how they structure their match. Like, those bloodline matches do tend to be a bit slower. This, like, I think they're just gonna go 99 miles an hour from the rip, and it's just gonna be a fucking movie. So I'm excited to see it. But overall, I do think I'm gonna give my official prediction to the heel team.
Honestly, I was gonna give it more to the. Since Bailey joining, I feel like it's gonna give it more to the babyface side.
Why do you? I'm very curious why.
Cause you remember last time what happened during War Games with when it was damage control and shit.
Mm-hmm.
They won literally because what was Bailey doing? She was literally fucking putting her body on the line and shit like that, and fucking.
Yeah.
So
But that was her group. She was a part of
Damage
Damage
Control. Same type of story where she's trying to prove herself type of shit. Because I feel like they're trying to push that a lot right now with Bailey.
I can see that, I guess, yeah. Her trying to put it all on the line to gain everyone's trust. Okay. Alright. Oh, shit. I could kind of see it.
Mm-hmm. So
I still think you're wrong, but I could kind of see where you're coming from, though. Let's go ahead and put this on Babyface Women's Team. And now getting into what I assume will likely be the main event of the evening.
Yup.
Our Bloodline versus Bloodline showdown, featuring our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And the returning wise man with his homie, CM Punk. A lot going on. A lot going on. How we feeling? How we leaning? Who we liking, who we hating?
It's gonna have to be a Roman win. It's gonna have to be a Roman win.
You think so?
After the last PLE and everything, it's gonna have to be a Roman win.
Why do you think so?
He just has to win it, bruh.
You don't think he can take consecutive L's?
Mm-mm.
What if it's not even him getting pinned? You still think that doesn't work? If it's like Jimmy or Jay or Sammy. Sammy's great for taking a pin.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy would take the pin in a heartbeat. If Sammy gets pinned by Jacob or Solo or something.
And that's the thing.
That's a problem for you?
That's the thing to be interesting with this Friday Night SmackDown coming up with the who gets the advantage with Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu. That's gonna be very interesting, but
yeah.
so
I
see, bro.
do personally think Jay will get ran through.
I feel like that's.
I think Jay's gonna get tossed up.
You
And
think?
Oh yeah. I think Jacob's gonna go ridiculous. Has Jacob had a match yet? A singles match? I don't believe so.
I don't know.
I don't think he's had a singles match yet. He's tag wrestled for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's had a singles match yet in WWE. There's no way after the shit his debut was coming in and like throwing Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens through like all the tables. He's not gonna, he is gonna put Jey Uso in a fucking blender. I promise you. I'd bet the house on that.
Fuck.
So that you could just, that's over.
Fuck.
Fatu won. Let's just assume
Fuck.
that.
Fuck.
Let's just assume that.
Fuck.
Even with the heels having the advantage, which they will have, I do agree. I think I'm leaning babyface.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I wouldn't have if it was still they were leaning into like, oh, the team's not fully together, it's all chaotic. But now that the wise man is in the mix, feels like it's gonna bring everything together. Now the wrench that could be thrown in this, and if this happens, boy oh boy. But if these little subtle hints of Heyman being actually a double agent,
that would be crazy.
because you've seen what people have been saying about his outfit when he came out, that
With
it's
the
been
red,
like what Solo used to be wearing earlier this year. And I don't know if you saw the clip when he like winked over at Jimmy when they were doing like the pose, and he kind of stared at Roman a little funny and shit. Like, there's been a couple moments where people are trying to dissect it and see if the wise man has some foul intentions.
We'll see.
Obviously, when the final boss made his return at Bad Blood, there's the clip that went viral of Solo in the crowd, and the fan was recording him, and he said, oh, this is all a part of the plan.
Yeah.
So there have been a couple of these little moments where Solo or someone around Solo has made it seem like maybe there's something happening outside of what Roman is aware of.
Yeah.
That certainly could throw a wrench into things and could cause the baby faces to lose and could send Roman down a real spiral of like, who can I trust? What the fuck is going on here?
But no.
But I do still ultimately, when I think about it, lean, because kind of what you're saying, like, this guy's the guy, bro. This guy's the top guy.
He has to.
He's not gonna lose 2 matches like this, and I do think it has to be.
Baby.
It is gonna be the babyface bloodline, dude. It is what it is, man. I am interested to see how it plays out, and if Heyman ends up actually being aligned with the OG bloodline, or if he flip-flops. I'm curious to see how the whole dynamic plays out with Punk being involved. The one can I tell you what other wrench exists that could throw a wrench into this machine here? Seth freaking Rollins
Interesting.
is not booked at all for anything to do with Survivor Series.
That's interesting.
Very adamantly
Yeah.
declined the invitation to be a part of the OG Bloodline team.
Mm-hmm.
And the cage doesn't have a roof.
Mm-hmm.
So if he decides, fuck CM Punk, fuck Bronson Reed, fuck Roman Reigns, all of my biggest ops are in one cage at one time.
And just go Kevin Owens mode and
I'm just going to go in there and kick everyone's ass, yeah. Like, that could definitely change a lot and start some really interesting storylines going forward. That'll be something to kind of keep an eye on. But all of that being said, despite the fact that there is so much crazy bullshit that could potentially happen, I do still think I'm going to lean towards the babyface bloodline.
Okay.
I got a feeling.
I'm still face too.
But damn, this is an interesting one. We're going to have a good Survivor Series, man. I'm excited. I'm excited.
What about Cody Rhodes versus Kevin? You gonna say that?
It's not on Survivor Series.
You're lying, yeah, it is. Look it up.
These are the only matches scheduled. I'm pretty sure that's going to be on main event. I'm pretty sure that's when they're going to do it. They haven't officially announced it yet, and they only have one SmackDown, which is the day before Survivor Series. I doubt they're going to add it so last minute. Yeah, I think those are our 5 matches.